The budget is not a collection of numbers, but an expression of values and aspirations. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Is it from the frying pan into the fire? We are discussing about the budget 2024. Will it make you rich? Joining me this evening on the show to pose questions from our panelists is Nilesh Thambi, on to my immediate right, a consultant English news director at Newsfirst. If you have questions, you too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to WhatsApp your messages is 076 656 5353. The number once again 076 656 5353. Let me quickly introduce our guests this evening. Joining us this evening on the show after a very long time is President's Council Maitri Gunratna, General Secretary, United National Freedom Front, as well as a former governor of the Central Province, Dr. G. Veerasinghe, General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Communist Party, Chaturang Abhirsinghe, Executive Committee member of the NPP, as well as Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage from the Frontline Socialist Party. So let's get the ball rolling with Maitri Gunratna, President's Council, General Secretary of the United National Freedom Front, and also the former governor of the Central Province, with regard to his thoughts on Budget 2024.
Samir, the budget, part of it has been already announced. The VAT, expansion of the VAT has been announced, and various other proposals which they should have bought at the budget has already been announced. So the budget is as good as it has been declared. Now they have to, they are contemplating in giving an enhancement of the government servant salaries. So we are told it's going to be something like 20 or 25,000 rupees. So that I suppose will be the good news in the budget. That is going to drive inflation again. And if we do not focus on production, this budget does not focus on production, and production in Sri Lanka, and especially agricultural production, we are doomed. As it is, we are unable to meet our expenditure. We fall short of our expenditure. The only way this country can go forward is to increase our production, and thereafter we will have to place this country in a hub status. We'll have to bring in several hub statuses. One is we will have to make this, try to make this an IT hub, a tourism hub, a shipping and aviation hub, health hub, and since this is a Buddhist country and we have got a lot of following all over the world, this can be made into a religious hub. So if the government places us in this status, and we have a 2, 3, 4 year short-term and long-term plan, then we will be able to bring in the much needed foreign currency we are expecting. Otherwise, what is going to happen is we will be compelled to start borrowing, as we have done right now. IMF has come in, but notwithstanding the IMF coming and helping Sri Lanka, we are still continuing to borrow. So if you are going to continue to borrow, our debt is going to get more and more, and subsequently, if the IMF pulls the plug out, then what is going to happen is we are just going to fall on our faces. So my take on this whole thing is this budget has to be focused on productivity-based budget. Productivity which is coming from Sri Lanka, we have to increase our productivity, and I think since this is the opening round, I will not elaborate on that. Subsequently, I will be able to elaborate on how we should enhance our productivity, but we have to think of increasing our productivity 3-fold, 4-fold if we are going to meet the expectations of the people of this country.
Mr. Gunratna, very quickly tell us with regard to your party's stand on the budget 2024.
Yeah, that's now our party stand. We are not in parliament at the moment.
At least you can voice your opinions outside parliament.
Yes, our party stand in the budget for this 2024 is that this country has to be taken out of this rut. And if you are going to take this country out of this rut, you have to overall increase production. We have to cut down on our wastage. We have to cut down on our government service. There are so many measures we have to take, Samir, to ensure that there is no wastage. There is no unnecessary spending. But I can't see, for the last 1.5 years, this has never been a reality.
Yeah, so I don't know, Mr. Gunathan, whether you recollect, when taking over office as the president of the country, Ranil Wickremesinghe went on to speak about the baby being taken on the bridge, and that was very similar to the chalk circle that we were talking, he was making reference to at that time. Do you think we are still on that rotten bridge at this very moment of time?
I of course feel the bridge has collapsed. We are now in the water, and if we don't get our act together right now, the baby and the person who's carrying the baby are both going to drown.
So you're saying just as a chalk circle, the play would end not in renewed life, but in an avoidable death.
Definitely, if it goes on like this, that is definitely going to happen.
Right. Thank you very much. My is the Gunaratna President's Council. I now move my attention towards Dr. G. Veerasinghe, General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Communist Party. Now, Dr. Veerasinghe, you have a member in Parliament representing the Sri Lanka Communist Party. So you have a bigger say with regard to what's happening on the budget 2024. What would be your party's stand?
Yeah, actually, now our party's stand is going to be depend on the content of the budget, right? And we have certain expectations. You see that now while being agreed to most of what was said by my colleague here, right? But then there are several other expectations that I have. Several other expectations. If the budget is not going to meet those expectations, then we'll have to take a stand against the budget.
When you say expectations, what does that mean?
Yeah, okay. Number one is that you see there are very poor segments of the society which need some kind of relief package in this budget. Now look at some statistics. According to the UNICEF, right, there are about 5.7 million of people, including 2.3 million children, who need humanitarian assistance in this country. Okay. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, poorest 20% of households in the country generate around 17,500 rupees a month. 17,500 rupees a month. You see, then poorest 40% households generate around 27,000 rupees a month. Then if you just do a simple calculation, starting from the breakfast, right? For a simple breakfast, you see, for one person, if you spend 300 rupees and you put that into 30 days, that you need around 36,000 rupees for a family like that, for a family of 4 persons to have, simple breakfast. For same family to have lunch, they'll have to spend around 36,000. For the dinner, another 36,000, right? So, taking them together, they'll have to spend at least 120,000 rupees a month for a family of 4 persons to have simple 3 meals without eating meat, without eating fish. You see, but this is the situation. But then if you take the income, you see that, it's about around 27% of the families, they have around 17,500, you see, income. So you see that now, I mean, it is not only eating, right? I mean, they have to spend money on education, they have to spend money on various other things, school bags, pens, pencils, transport, health, for various other things. So, and if you go to estate sector, average income is around 46,000 or 47,000, 46,800 or 47,000 rupees, right? So their situation is dire, right? Their situation is dire. So I mean, coming back again to the same statistics, the poorest 20%, they have around 17,500 rupees a month they generate their income, households, and 60% of households, they have about 56,000, right, rupees a month. But they need to survive at least 120,000 rupees a month. So therefore, I expect, Communist Party of Sri Lanka expect, at least some kind of relief to these people, right? At least to provide a package of identified food items at an affordable cost. You see, without which, how can these people survive?
Right, Dr. Veerasinghe, very quickly tell us, we'll get into nitty-gritties later on. Just for clarity, as far as this conversation is concerned, the Sri Lanka Communist Party representation in Parliament, who are you all supporting right now? Are you all sitting in the opposition, or are you all sitting with the government, or are you supporting in the opposition? Also, there are different clans like the Dalasal clan.
We are in the opposition.
So, in the opposition with the SJB or with the SLPP breakaway, or which?
No, we Communist Party is in the opposition. Actually, we work with, that Uttar Lanka Sabhage or Supreme Lanka Coalition. That's a group of parties like National Freedom Front, Pivituru Elorume, then Democratic Left Front, then Yuthukama Jatika Sangvidhane, and Vijayadharani Jatika. These
so this is the Dalasal clan
and Dalas's group. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Just to get some clarity on that. Thank you very much, Dr. G. Veerasinghe. I now move my attention towards Chaturanga Abhisinghe, Executive Committee member of the NPP. Chaturanga, you all have also some say in the opposition as far as your members of Parliament are concerned. So, what is the stand of the NPP on the budget?
Basically, just before we get into the budget, it's very clear the audience should know these structural issues that was explained. One was the drop in or the reduction in our local production over the last 3 decades, and the inequality of income is what was explained. So these are structural issues that one budget, you can't expect solutions for a budget, right? So what we expect from a budget is a change of direction. There are 2 problems that is inherently in the country which has brought us to this point. One is the corruption or the corrupt political culture, and the wrong economic policies, which I will elaborate on the next round, right? So when it comes to the budget, if I can get a close view on this, so you see the recurring the budget, the recurring expenditure of the plan 2024 is 6 trillion, right? So we had a budget in 2023 also, right? What was the results? Now 800,000 people does not have electricity, which was disconnected. 500,000 people lost their jobs. Exports compared to last year's August has dropped by 12%. So the last year's budget has not done anything. So now are we to expect something magical from this one? No, because what we are seeing, it's in the same line of thinking. There are 30 ministries. They have just allocated the similar amounts to last year to each of these without no strategy. There's no strategy behind, there's no recovery designed around it. As clearly said, there's no production plan. There's no saying to the country what to produce, what are the industries we are going to improve. And obviously when it comes to the poorest of the country, right, the subsidies now cannot be reduced. Now there's a proposal to increase government servants salaries, right? So what's going to happen is this expenditure will keep moving. The real problem of the country is this. Now if you look at this whole recurring expenditure, 2 trillion is interest out of 6 trillion, and the cost of the government, that is the total budget 2 trillion in 2017, has moved out to 6 trillion, 3 times, right? Who's responsible for this? But the same people are ruling here, and there is actually no government. Now, the other piece is, even if you take the recurring expenditure, you take away the interest component, this circle, half of it is transfers. Yes, pensions, aswasuma, subsidies for agriculture, all those things, right? Only 29% is government servant salaries, right? If you take out of the total budget, government servant salaries is about 12%, right? So this is not the problem. The problem is the income. So actually, Sri Lanka is in huge trouble. So this year's government need 9 trillion cash, including capital repayments, right? This is what they budgeted in 2023, 3.1 trillion revenue, mostly tax, and they are only going to achieve 2.7 trillion, so which is again a false budget. Now, do we expect 2023 budget to be better? This revenue is going to go down because GDP is keep falling. So $74 billion of GDP has come down to $71 billion of GDP. So what they are only proposing as an income, income source, is an increase in VAT, right? So even you increase VAT to 18% and expand the tax base of VAT to have VAT for things that which we never paid, it will only be about 130 billion rupees of extra income, right? So what is the problem is that we have lost our revenue. The leakage is the biggest thing. So from 2011 to 2022, the recoverable tax which is recorded in the books is close to 2 trillion, and they know who are the people who has to pay, and it's listed. And apart from that, since we never improved our tax base, right, every year we lost about 900 billion rupees. That was the problem. So if we ever, our GDP was 86 billion in 2018, 2019.
Based on Chaturanga, what you're saying right now, even before you all are going to see the budget on the 13th of November, it seems to me
it's just a number
that you all are going to oppose this budget.
Of course.
Without even seeing it.
There's nothing to, now the budget.
So that is not being progressive, no?
No. What to be progressive? Because
if you're supposed to be progressive, as Dr. Veerasinghe mentioned before, they will wait until the budget.
There's nothing to wait. We know this is not a government
and
itself.
Subsequently, right? You can take a decision accordingly.
So then you need to have previous examples. So which budget in the Sri Lankan history has resulted in...
So principally you all don't like Ranil Wickremesinghe?
No, we don't like these policies. We don't agree with neoliberalism, and we don't believe that these policies will create a change, because what's going to happen
but
is...
we will come back to that.
So I will come. I have to, I will explain in
yes,
the next session
we will talk about that momentarily.
In simple, what we have to understand is the problem of the Sri Lankan fiscal deficit is in revenue.
No, but I'm somewhat surprised the NPP, which has professional members like yourself and the others in the executive committee, even before looking at the budget, has decided to...
So you twisted the question before I answer, right? Now you need
How
to
did I twist it?
How do you twist it? Because before seeing the budget, there's a appropriation bill that's been planted.
I didn't say that, you said that.
No, now the budget has...
So how did I twist it?
Budget draft is there. And government has told how they are going to improve tax income, right? So we already know who are the rulers. So we don't agree with these budgets. We don't have to. So we don't have to see it.
So that's what I'm saying. So even before this is tabled, you all will oppose it?
Yes.
Okay. I now move my attention towards Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopake, representing the Frontline Socialist Party. What is your position?
In fact, now we know there are annual events of the government. President makes speech during the Independence Day. Likewise, there are traditional events. This budget proposals, the budget speech is concerned for last 3 decades. It's only another event. Now, for example, now according to the Verite research, from 2017 to 2020, at least they were unable to fulfill or accomplish 45% of their pledges of the budget proposal. So it will be definitely increased. It has been increased up to 70% in the year 2023. So technically, the budget proposal should be reflection of a fiscal policy of a government for the next year. But actually, what transpired throughout the history, it is not a fiscal policy. In fact, it's only a mere document. Beyond that, nothing has been done by all these governments. So likewise, we can forecast, we can predict, same thing will be happen this year. The only difference is, now this time, the person who are going to present this budget is Ranil Wickremesinghe. He doesn't have a mandate of the people. At the same time, he's supporting by the Rajapaksa gang. So therefore, what they are saying, there was an economic crisis. All these Ranil Wickremesinghe and Rajapaksa, they contributed for that economic crisis. Therefore, what they are saying, of course, in order to once again resettle this particular thing, you have to take drastic measures to once again to resettle the economy. That's what they are saying. While saying so, when you carefully go through the appropriation bill, it is very clear, if you want to actually resettle the economy and resolve this crisis, there must be certain steps to be taken. So you have to convert this to a production-based economy and people-oriented economy, people-centric economy, just economy, because all these things happen because of this economic injustice of this economy. It's not a people-centric economy. So that is a reason Aragale as well. So at least from this appropriation bill, there must be a reflection, they are going to change this. However, it doesn't say anything about that kind of drastic measures to change the system. So therefore, like previous occasion, it's only a mere document, nothing will be changed. So they cannot actually build a people-centric just economy, because once again, for example, now they are talking about tax. They are going to increase the tax base from 30 to 40% by this budget. At the same time, the billions of incentives have been given for multimillionaires who are very close to the government. It amounts to 572 billion. So without actually taking this money to the economy, to the government, what they are showing, what they are imposing tax one after another, targeting the ordinary people. So therefore, it's very clear a group of gang is controlling this economy. So without considering the people who are actually take the burden of the economy, you know, there are around.
So Nuwan, I just want to ask you a quick question. So you said that making a production-based economy is imperative. This is not easy. Making it a production-based economy takes time. May it be agriculture, may it be manufacturing, we need investments, we need to grow, we need to export. This is not an easy process. But right now, we need a quick fix for the country's economy. How do you suggest that we do this?
Yeah, that's why now we have to go through this appropriation bill, then thereafter budget proposals. For instance, now here for industrial sector, they allocated 9 billion rupees. For agriculture, 9 billion rupees. Fisheries sector, 7 billion rupees. At the same time, the allocation for president, 6.6 billion rupees. At the same time, for defense, around 437 billion. So if you want to change this system, convert this economy to production-based economy, of course these calculations, these allocations cannot be there, because if that is so, you have to allocate more for industrial sector, fisheries sector, agriculture sector. That has not been done.
Do you all believe in the intervention of the IMF?
Of course. That's now, even though they have submitting budget proposal for the sake of to show that there's a traditional event as a budget proposal. In fact, everything is going behind the scene, and IMF only controlling this country. At the same time, the India, China. So now actually President went to China. We don't know what are the agreements they entered into. With India, they entered certain agreements. So of course, this is only a drama. Behind that, IMF and other imperial countries only controlling the country.
You all agree with the intervention of the IMF? That was my question.
No, we are not.
You all don't?
No.
Right, okay, thank you very much. Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage, Frontline Socialist Party. So let's open the questions, Neeraj.
Thank you, Shamir.
The ball is literally in your court.
Well, then I would be in Parliament playing cricket.
Thank God for that.
So, Nuwan, let me ask you. You mentioned the budget allocations for various ministries. In the next week's budget, which ministries' budget allocations would you like to see reduced and which ones increased, and by how much? You mentioned defense, for example.
Yeah, of course. Now, defense actually, at the culmination of the war, what was they told to the society after the war? These money should be allocated for the sake of the poor, for the sake of the development of the society. Now, still the same allocation is going on for defense. So, for a moment, we are not saying you have to sack those who are in the army and you have to remove them. We are not, for a moment, we are not saying that. But certain steps should be taken to reduce these allocations. Then it should be allocated to now. For example,
so how much from the amount that has been?
What can I say? Now, for example, for education, they allocated only 237 billion rupees. It should definitely be allocated because that is the investment as far as the society is concerned. So they have not done it. At the same time, as I said, industrial sector, agriculture sector, very less allocation, 9 billion. So now, if you pose a question me, what should be the amount, I cannot exactly say that. But what can I say, this is a reflection of the policy. This policy is totally in balance. There must be a balanced policy. If Ranil Wickremesinghe say now they are going to develop the country, they are going to enhance the production, then how it can be happen only allocating 9 billion rupees for industrial sector while allocating 427 billion for defense? That won't happen. So their ideas, whatever they are insisting to the society, is not the proper reflection in these budget proposals. That is my main concern.
What he's saying is, Dinesh, I think they are not serious in putting the country into a production-based economy.
So on that note, Maitri, now you mentioned production-based economy.
Yes.
In the next budget, what specific steps would you like to see in that budget to move the country towards the production-based economy?
If you take the SME sector, the small and medium scale entrepreneurs, I would say 70% of them are on the brink of bankruptcy. There is no support extended to them at all. And the main reason for their bankruptcy is, one, is the COVID, two, the bad economic management, three, the global military crisis, which are none created by them, all by external forces and natural causes. So there are about 40,000 people in the SME sector. 4.5 million to 5 million persons work under them. They are not a burden to the state. They are the ones who pay the taxes. They are the ones who create employment. Now, 1.5 years, I think, since Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe has taken over, I would like to ask, what is the facility or what is the benefit this government has given to the SME sector in this 1.5 years? Are they even thinking of giving any benefit to the SME sector in the budget? As Nuwan very correctly said, the military budget is the highest, 400 billion rupees. 420 billion rupees the military budget. Now, I would say you can cut that down by maybe 25 to 30%. If you are serious in bringing this country into a production footing, you cut that budget into, cut the military budget by 25 to 30%, then you get about 110, 120 billion. Out of that, you can push that to the maybe to the SME sector, maybe to the fisheries sector, maybe to the agricultural sector, and then you start cooking with gas, because then we are going to produce. So what I'm saying is, like, now there is the Samurdhi or the Aswasuma program which is going. Now we are aware this is implemented in every Grama Sevaka division. Every Grama Sevaka division. I would say the government is spending maybe 500 to 1 million rupees per Grama Sevaka division per month for the whole year. And whom are they helping? There are very few people who are poor, but most of them are political cronies whom they are helping. Political party followers whom they have gone and given their names, and now they are saying, those people don't need any help. So the first thing is, either the government should do an audit as to who is getting these monies, and the other thing is, you cannot keep these people every day living on subsidies or living on handouts. So what you need to do is, either you empower them with, now this is an agricultural based country, we are an agricultural economy. What I'm saying is, if the government can, which they should do, one greenhouse per Grama Sevaka division, 14,400 odd Grama Sevaka divisions, forget about 2,000 which is in city areas, 12,000 Grama Sevaka divisions. If they give one greenhouse per month, for 12 months you have 12,000 greenhouses into 12, 144,000 greenhouses. Then what do? These greenhouses are going to produce vegetables, they are going to produce fruit, they are going to produce flowers, which can be exported. What we need is dollars, what we need is export, what we need is production. Here is one simple example. Then the other thing is, we have been continuously using fertilizer. Actually, we have been indiscriminately using fertilizer, and that has made our soils acidic. Our paddy soils are acidic, our tea soils are acidic, all agricultural soils in this country have become acidic. There is no research into this. They have never found out why this is. But the reason is because overdose of fertilizer, continuous overdose of fertilizer. So to arrest that problem, this has been experimented. If one applies one dose of dolomite into the plantations, let it be a paddy field, a coconut estate, a tea estate, or whatever it is, if you apply dolomite, within the next harvest, you are bound to get an increase in production of 30%. 30%. Now this has been tried and tested. So if you do the second application of dolomite thereafter, you can increase up to 50%. So without wasting much money, by scientifically approaching the problem, planning how you are going to do it, then you will be able to very definitely increase production. Very definitely increase production. So what I am saying is, the government and all organizations, now the agriculture ministry has so many research organizations. Now the tea board has a tea research institute, rubber research institute, paddy research institute, agriculture research institute. What have these institutes for the last 10 years, what is the discoveries they have done? Novel discoveries where they can increase production. What are the recommendations? Nothing. But all these people are drawing government salaries, taxpayers are paying the money, and what are they delivering? Basically nothing. If you take Bangkok, all our fruits and the latest kinds of hybrid fruits are coming, all the cuttings are coming from Bangkok, and they are making it here. But we have not done any.
Right. So you've covered the agricultural sector and agricultural exports, but let me ask Chaturanga, What about the industrial sector? We're talking factories and other industries and massive numbers of jobs.
Yeah, so I mean, taking from this, we don't have priority industries named by Ranil Wickremesinghe. We need to understand this is the neoliberal policy. They don't want manufacturing here. He was talking about we should have a production economy. Ranil Wickremesinghe and IMF agenda is to kill manufacturing. They want a service economy which is not going to work for developing nations like us. Because you need the base of manufacturing. There are only 4 or 5 countries today resiliently facing the world because their manufacturing is strong. India, South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, China, they are resilient to all the economic problems in the world. Why? Because they are investing in production. Chinese government give 3% technology loans to their apparel sector. What do we get in apparel sector? We don't get the labor, we don't get the skill, we don't get the machinery, we don't get the technology, neither we get the market. There are few apparel companies who are doing well on their own.
But specifically, now let's take the apparel sector of Sri Lanka. What would you like to see in next week's budget to spur the growth?
So basically the government should enhance this capability in productivity improvement, right? There is no gain that we can get in apparel industry unless we leap on the technology. So the industry 4 is already here, but only few apparel manufacturers are capable of getting that technology. Now the government should invest, put this money, they are putting transportation and highways this year another 374 billion. Industries 9 billion. IT 5 billion. Is there a policy behind this? Is there a strategy behind this? I agree, because the military might have people's cost, that means personal cost, but there should be capital cost inside that as well. We don't know yet. Right? You need a reallocation now. You need to uplift the industry. It's not only the apparel, the tea industry, small tea holders, right? 75% of the production. And if you take industrial sector, we have industrial exports again close to 1 billion. They are trying to produce and send things out of this country, and this Ranil Wickremesinghe is going and trying to sign free trade agreements, one-sided free trade agreements with Thailand and China. So no sooner you sign it, the production will end.
Yeah, so Chaturanga, you spoke about the transport sector allocation.
Yeah.
If you look at the appropriation bill puts transport at 403.6 billion in 2024. And now it's very important to understand, doing a comparison with last year, because last year, that is 2023, was the most toughest years as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. At that time, it was at 394.
374.
In that range, 394. I've got the results from the Treasury. It says 394 billion. So there is an increase in the transport sector. If you look at the agriculture industry that Maitri spoke about, last year, the allocation stood at 25 billion
so
for the agriculture.
So I said transport sector should not have got.
Yes. I'm just do a quick comparison for the benefit of our viewers with the 2023 budget. So 25 billion was the agriculture allocation at 25 billion.
It was 56.
This year, 100 billion.
150.
Over 100 billion. So there is a steep increase there. So what I'm trying to figure out is, how is the government trying to reduce expenditure when all the allocations that have been mentioned is above this year's budget?
So the government has, that's what I said, so they have taken 30 ministries. There are ministers for that who would love to have all those budgets to them. So they have just extrapolated last year to this year, right? That's why I say there's no strategy.
So you're saying there is no science behind it?
There's no science behind it. The other piece is, we are clearly aware that none of the things that was proposed in 2023 happened. Even there was allocations, what did happen?
No, but Maitri, the steep increase from 25 billion in 2023 to 100 plus billion in 2024 appropriation bill. That's a steep increase. Why is that?
Samir, I think in 2022,
No, but what I'm trying to figure out is, we are heading for an election year.
Yes.
So it's very important for the government to subsidize fertilizer and give out subsidies for the industry, for the agricultural sector. So is that why this number is high?
no, but it cannot be in transport, no, Samir?
No, this is in
this
this is
is
in
agriculture.
agriculture. 25 billion was the allocation in 2023.
Yes.
The appropriation bill puts it at 100.4 billion.
No, so the government, I mean, they're having some plan of increasing production. The only thing is whether they know in which sector they are going to increase it.
But 75 billion,
No,
this seems...
that's not. I would say that's not enough. It has. They have to invest much more on agriculture because Samir, if you take the tea industry, now even during COVID, when the whole country was shut down, the tea industry is the only industry. Tea, rubber, and the coconut industries are the only industries which function. So, with Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's banning of fertilizer, it killed all the industries, and it will take another 2 years to 3 years for it to recover, because no fertilizer was applied for about 1.5 years to 2 years.
Right.
So therefore, you need to rejuvenate the agricultural industry and bring it to back to at least the same amount of production before the fertilizer ban, or increase it. Because now, for instance, if we can increase our production in our tea, and if we can increase, if the tea board works and advertises our tea abroad and gets $1 more on our tea, $1 more on our tea, it completely...
But the problem is,
you are a tea man. You are a tea man. You should know this.
Look at the corruption that is taking place.
Oh, correct.
We recently at the co-op committee, we saw how the now chairman of the tea board had to confess that over 100 million has been just spent on an assumption.
Exact
and that's
reason
about
we
it.
should not support any proposal from the
No,
government.
so what I'm saying is now.
Now let's take a look at, we should discuss about this. Now let's look at the sugar recent increase on the tax. Now it was at 25 cents. Overnight it increased to 50 rupees. And whatever stock that is there in the market right now is going to be sold at 50 rupees more.
Plus.
So what are we doing? We are opening up our arms for corruption.
No,
And at the end of the day, people have to face it.
Samir, now we are depending on the IMF. Okay, the IMF has said the rule of law, improving the efficiency and accountability of public sector, and tackling corruption are essential elements for a framework within the economic for us to prosper. Now, if you take these three factors itself, this government has not been able to tackle.
They will never.
They will never. They will
Look
never.
at what's happening with the cricket issue right now.
And the other thing is, Samir, now you take whether it is cricket, whether it is sugar, whether it is fertilizer, the whole government machinery is there to protect the rogues. Now, if you take the, I mean, since you brought it up, I'm taking the cricket. Now, even a child knows that this cricket board is absolutely corrupt. Over and above that, the Auditor General has, in his report, categorically said that these fellows are corrupt. But what is happening? They are being protected. The rogues are being appointed again to function. So that's what I'm saying. The system change, if it does not take place in the next election, if the next election is a very, very crucial election.
Yeah, so if we talk about corruption, I don't think this show is going to be enough. We have to have 2 or 3 shows back to back talking about the corruption that is taking place that has taken place in the last few months.
That has eaten into the whole fabric of Sri Lankan economics and society.
Right.
The corruption. So one thing is, Samir, someone has to fight this, and And I'm telling you, I take personally responsibility. When Cabral was appointed as governor of the central bank, when Cabral was appointed as governor of the central bank, we challenged this appointment. But unfortunately, the courts thought that didn't have any merit. If for some stroke of luck, the court thought that it was a valid argument and held with us, Cabral would have never been appointed the governor of the central bank, and maybe we would have avoided this collapse at that time. Right. So I can give numerous occasions.
Right.
I can give numerous occasions where even our judiciary has not stood up to the expectation of the people of this country.
Because you are a President's Council, Mr. Gunnath, I don't think I have to remind you that you will have to take full responsibility.
I definitely will take responsibility, and I will not bat an eyelid to call a spade a spade.
Dr. Veer Singh, now Maitri spoke about increasing the salaries of the state sector employees by 20,000, 25,000 rupees. This has been making the rounds on social media, and we saw even Vajra Abhigunawardena, who is a close associate of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, had said that there would be a significant increase for the state sector employees. Now my point is, how are you going to increase the salaries of the state sector employees by 20,000 rupees when the IMF has clearly stated that we have to reduce our expenditure next year? What is the magic wand the government is having? What are they going to pull out of the black hat this time?
You see, if you can remember what I said in my first round, right? I am for giving relief to people, because now we have spoken here about the crisis. Actually, we are in a crisis which we have never seen in our lifetime, right? But you want to overcome this crisis in a short period of time, right? It will continue, right, for a long time. And government has stated that bankruptcy will continue up to 2026. Ranil Wickremesinghe said that, right? So you see that until we recover from the crisis, we take various actions to improve the economy, they say, right? Okay, and we are going to recover, but and we are taking a lot of restructuring and lot of other things we are doing to overcome the crisis. No, but until you overcome, people have to survive.
Yeah, but the problem
people have to survive. Let me finish. People have to survive. I gave you the income levels given by the Department of Census and Statistics. You see, you can't live.
Yeah, so
you can't live with this kind of, and the government servants also are the same.
Yeah, Dr. Veer Singh, my point is, now we all know that the state sector is very bloated in the country. There is so much of extra fat that needs to be cut out. Now, if the government in power is only looking at the grievances of the public sector, is that fair?
No, not really.
Now look at the private sector. The private sector is taking a pay tax cut of up to 36%.
In the government sector also.
Yeah, in the government sector also. But just imagine if this 20,000 rupees or 25,000 rupees is slapped on the salaries of the state sector employees. Who's funding them?
No, Shamir, my point is not the amount. My point is not the amount, and you don't have to go by what is being assumed by various people. We are not sure of. Some say it is going to be 25,000. Some say it is going to be 10,000. That is no. I am not going to talk about the amount. But
we are saying what is right now on the public domain, saying that there would be a salary increment.
So there would be, and
Ranil Wickremesinghe in February said that if all things go well, you can expect a salary increment come October, November, and now this is the time period that we're talking about.
Definitely.
Are things going well?
Definitely there should be. No, definitely there should be a salary increase for the government employees.
So what about the private sector?
Why not for the private sector also? You see, my point is, Shamira, here that you are not going to overcome this crisis overnight. There are no quick fixes, right?
No, so
You know,
Dr.
so therefore,
no, it's easy to say all this, but let's
Not-
look
not
at the
easy.
practical.
It's very difficult.
Let's look at the practical aspect of it. I want to drag your attention to all four panelists to the IMF report that was issued on the 27th of September 2023, after the high-level visit took place by Mr. Peter Brewers. He's saying sustaining the reform momentum is critical to put the economy on a path towards lasting recovery and stable and inclusive economic growth. The authorities have met the program's primary balance targets and remain committed to this important pillar of the program so as to support their efforts to restore debt sustainability. However, revenue mobilization gains, while improved relative to last year, as expected to fall short of initial projections by nearly 15% by the year end. This could weaken the government's ability to provide essential public services and undermine the path towards debt sustainability. To increase revenues and signal better governance, it's important to strengthen tax administration, remove tax exemptions, and actively eliminate tax evasion. What
Yeah.
does it say?
No.
It says that we have to tighten our belts even further.
No, you see, I mean, you know, but
Very simple. This is not rocket science. It's plain English.
you see now what they have said is, you know, we have been spoken for last so many years. You see that this is why
this is the corruption.
This is why the state revenue, I mean government revenue, came from 24% of GDP to 6% in 2022. That was 24% in 1977. Yeah, because of these tax cuts, because of these tax amnesties. There were 14 tax amnesties in this country from 1978 to 2022. You see, I mean, we are not asking tax amnesties, but you know, now what they are doing, still, you see that the biggest, you know, multi-billionaires, you know, they are evading from paying taxes, whereas they are going to, you know, squeeze the professionals to the last of their breath and to, you know, chase them away from the country. This is what is happening at the moment.
So that's why I initially said it's about the revenue that we have mismanaged, right? The corruption is not like, you know, you are taking money away. It's all over the place, right? In terms of, I'll give you some numbers. Now the resident companies, non-resident companies, corporates in Sri Lanka who's paying taxes or registered under the inland revenue is 73,000. Registrar of companies has 175,000 private limiteds, right? Individuals who are paying tax 204,000. The income distribution shows that we have about more than 1 million people who earn more than, you know, 200,000 rupees. So this is the problem. The tax collection has not happened in this country.
But we have to admit, Chaturanga, you worked in the private sector for a long period of time. There are private sector employees who are paying taxes.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
And
that's
you
what I'm
can't
saying.
absolve them.
No, so what
they do pay taxes.
That's what I'm saying. So the people who pay taxes are the ones who got double taxed by this government. This is not a government. I have to always take that thing out, right? The people who has evaded tax for decades,
They continue to do
they
so.
still continue to do so. That's the problem. So that's what I said in the beginning.
huge sums.
The people who are targeted, Maitri, also lawyer, one is also lawyer. Our lawyers and doctors are, you know, are the ones who are being pointed the finger at.
Not exactly.
Why only
Doctors are accepted all over the world, lawyers are not. So doctors are leaving. Lawyers are only in Sri Lanka because of this taxation. That is, and the other thing is, Samir, now the government has 400 plus SOEs, state-owned enterprises. Okay, out of these 420 odd SOEs, I think 400 are running at a terrible loss.
Not exactly.
Yes. Okay. Whatever they are,
333 SOEs and
and out of the 300, how many are running at a loss?
so the net net impact to the budget always has been about 150,000 or below, about 150 billion or below.
Right. So then, now this SOEs, by just keeping it in the government, what is happening is we are gaining, the government has to find 150 billion odd rupees to keep it going. I'm just giving you one example. Now we are still importing sugar. You said we are bringing in sugar and prices have increased by 50 rupees. Tax has been increased by 50 rupees. We have got about 3 to 4 sugar plantations in this country which are closed. There is one in one in Polonnaruwa, one in Sevanagala, one in Palavatta, and one in Ampara. Now, in the same time, there are very successful rice mill producers or rice producers. For instance, Mr. Dalli Sirisena, then Nipuna Hall, and 2-3 other people like that. Now, their profits for a year is over 2 billion rupees. These rice producers. Now, if the government is very interested or very keen in getting these SOEs out of their back, they can call Mr. Dalli Sirisena, they can call Mr. Siripala Gamlat and tell them, okay, we are willing to give you this sugar plantation, 51% of that is for the government, you can have 49%, you run it, it is your baby, you have to produce profits within 1 year or 1.5 years. So from the day it is given, if it is given tomorrow, that SOE, the government does not have to bear any kind of expense for that. Why is that not happening?
But why would, coming from the private sector, Maitri, why would anyone take up a sugar plantation and a sugar industry or sugar manufacturing facility and give the government 51% and have 49%?
No, that can be negotiated, Samir. Those are.
But you saw, we know what happened in 2011 through an expropriation act that was brought in by Mahinda Rajapaksa.
But those are counterproductive.
Yeah, so one of the sugar industries were taken off by the government.
But what I'm saying is now, why I am saying that is, one way forward is import substitution. Now, if we are importing sugar and if we are importing bulk of the sugar from abroad, if we produce our own sugar, then those dollars are going to stop. That is not being done. The other thing is, now you take the power sector. You asked the question with regard to what do you have to say about the industrial sector. By every tariff hike, we are outpricing ourselves in the world. We are killing the industries. So, in the same way we are killing the industries, now you take the power producing sector in Sri Lanka.
Right. I'll come back to you momentarily. I want to give Nuwan an opportunity to talk as well. Nuwan, what is your take? Because what most of the people that we hear saying is the fact, I'll pose this question to Chaturanga as well. It's good to be having leftist ideologies at the end of the day, but practically these ideologies cannot be implemented on the ground in a country like Sri Lanka. So what sort of answer do you have for them? Because they say it's easy to criticize, difficult to implement strategies to move forward.
Once again, I have to reiterate, socialist economy is the only solution for this. I have to reiterate that. You might have a different idea. Because now all these suggestions given by President Council and Doctor, now what they suggesting to have certain reforms for the system. Can we move forward only based on reforms? I'm saying no, you can't. There's a structural problem in this society. The structural system is now, as you pointed out, regarding the salary increment, there are 8.5 million working first in Sri Lanka, out of which majority are living under very serious condition, very severe conditions. Very few, in this society only 5% is enjoying 65% of the economy. That is the fundamental issue here. Now we can talk about all the other things, greenhouse, all these things, but the fundamental issue is the major portion of the economy, major portion of the profit is enjoyed by only 5% in this society. So in a society like that, can we, without iron out this social disparity, can we think about the development? Development sense.
How many social economies are there in the world?
Yes, let me to
No,
now.
let me
Now what I am saying,
Can I step
worldwide,
in?
worldwide.
What do you mean by a social economy? I want to pose that question.
Socialist economy.
Yeah, what do you
Socialist
mean by a
economy.
socialist economy?
I would love to give my ideas today, Chaturanga, but unfortunately,
So the
I am not
problem
a part of the.
that's
I'm not a
why the thing
panelist.
is now you guys use
But if I
term,
can, I'll give you the Oxford
public.
Dictionary definition itself.
So let me explain, right?
Yeah, worldwide.
No,
Yeah,
I'll speak in
yeah.
one and I'll come
Yeah.
back to each
Now
other. I'll give you an
it is
opportunity
now,
as well.
it's a worldwide now. The capitalism is now worldwide. That is
No,
the.
but how many countries
that
are
is
there?
the ideology. I'll
Social
explain
economies
it
in the
like
world.
this. I'll explain like this. When you take worldwide, the wealth of first 50 billionaires in the world is equal to the wealth of the half of the majority of the half of the population of the world. Worldwide, the situation is like that. So our concern is, of course, you can tell that and this, but when we sum up all these arguments, ultimately we want a just society, just economy.
No, but my
Yes.
point is, we're talking about the socialist economy, all that. It's well and good. But how many countries
That's what I
have
am saying.
socialist
For a
economic models
moment,
in the
you
world?
forget the word. What are the concept? That's all.
concept-
Forget the word.
concept is
now
understood.
when you go to the Scandinavian countries, of course these socialist concepts are there.
It's there, but it's not-
the problem is, while taking the benefits, while taking profits from the other marginalized countries only, they build up their economy. Then they, after building up their economy, they have these
So
social
because I'm
concepts.
posing this question to you, the countries that are socialist economies in the world are China, North Korea, Cuba, Vietnam, Laos, Bangladesh, Portugal, Tanzania, are some of the countries that have socialist economies in the world. But if you look at the success rate of these countries, it's not that
That's
great.
why I want to point out, let's talk about the concept. So you can put the finger and say that this socialist economy, labeling it is a different thing. I'm talking about concept. Now, being a worker, you always like to get a whatever reasonable salary out of your labor. You like that. But when you go to President Council talk about the tea sector, estate sector. Those who are the laborers in that sector, who would contribute in the more to that particular production, is still living without house. So it's a just society, it's a just economy. So that's what we are saying. You are also, I think, in tea sector, tea estate sector. So our concern is that being socialist economy, what we are the benefit of the economy should be goes to the working class, people who are actually giving their effort to build up this economy. Now, for instance,
but-
I think
but-
Chaturanga is working in apparel sector.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka is concerned around 5 billion, more than 5 billion rupees basically coming from apparel sector. Dollars. And more than 4 billion rupees coming from the tea estate sector.
or 2 billion approximately.
2 billion rupees. So
Dollars.
then the foreign workers, foreign remitters. So all these working class only up to now actually the backbone of this economy. But when we consider about their social status, their social life, we can see they are living under severe conditions.
Now,
So
now,
therefore
if you look at it,
that's what we are saying. It's not a just economy.
So Ranil Wickremesinghe recently announced when he went relating to the post office in Norelia that that has to be vacated and given to the private
Hotel.
sector to construct a hotel. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, now I think some foreigners gave answer to that, because now selling the whatever archaeological things or whatever precious things you can sell. That is his policy. But now I am for a moment, actually we need not to talk about Ranil Wickremesinghe. We know his policy from the year 2022. What I am saying, the question you posed to me, now here, now using the disaster, what they are going to implement, disaster capitalism here. That has been happening on various countries. They are pointing out disaster and going to start all the other reforms, for example, privatization, selling public assets. That's
So
what
what
they
do
are
you
going.
suggest that we can do? That's what I asked you
Of
before.
course, now
let's say
from the-
now let's say we are in this rut at this very moment of time. What is the suggestion of the Frontline Socialist Party in the short term and in the long term to revive the
Exactly.
country's economy?
For the short term, now
What do we do?
there is a revenue issue. There's a revenue issue.
Well, how do we get it?
Yes.
Like
now
you say, you all are against the
there-
IMF also.
Yes. Now, as far as the 2022,
Probably all have a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Tell
No,
me.
yeah. Now, as far as the rupees, the shortage of rupees is concerned, first of all, you have to somehow recover these defaulted taxes. The main, I am not telling the name, but the main multimillionaire of the country defaulted around 5 billion rupees.
But one
Taxation.
You know,
why
I know-
Ranil Wickremesinghe cannot, the government cannot recover this amount?
But
Why
it's
they
never
cannot?
going to happen.
Why?
Exactly.
Because
Why? That's what I am asking. So why you are imposing that burden to the ordinary people? That's why we are saying we have to break this system. There must be a system change. For this particular group of people, they never do that. Then, now, for example, then they are going to sell the telecom. Now, telecom, in the year 2022, their income is 5,000 billion rupees income. Now, if there's a rupees shortage, Sri Lanka Telecom, Sri Lanka Insurance, actually they are.
No, I understand. I understand what you're
they
trying
are
to say.
profitable.
No,
Yes.
but I'm saying, what is
First
your suggestion?
First recover these defaulted taxes.
How much would that be approximately?
It more than to 2022
10 billion?
572
10
billion
rupees.
572 billion rupees.
So the unpaid taxes is 2 trillion.
Yes.
If you accumulate the interest from 2011, it's 2 trillion. Every year we are losing 900 billion. I'm pretty sure we can recover 1.5 billion.
So, Chaturang, I remember when the Aragalaya time was taking place, leaders attached to the NPP said on stages and fora that foreign workers should not send in money because this is a corrupt government that is in play. Have you
didn't
changed
say
that? Have
We
you
didn't say
changed that stand?
We didn't say that. We said they might not.
They might not.
No,
Is that what
right?
you all said?
Yeah. So in terms of I want to get back to your previous question. I need 5 minutes to explain this, right? So
I'll give you a few minutes. I can't give you 5
okay.
minutes, but I'll give you a few
The
minutes.
development strategies in the world is one. There's no different development strategies, whether it's socialist or capitalist. The countries have created production and taken portion of the global economy. There are 67 OECD countries which are considered developed. More than half is colonial economies. He said right. They have grabbed our wealth and they already had capital for them to start off. And there are few countries who has won the world. The countries I told earlier about the South Koreas, the Vietnams, the Indonesias, the Indias and the Chinas. What did they do? They decided what they should produce and how they take the world economy, and they supported their manufacturing. They reduced their cost of manufacturing. They protected their SME sector and created their economies what they are today. And they have used the government, SOEs to reduce the cost of manufacturing. They have used the private sector for growth. They have used cooperative sector to bring fairness. So the world is now talking about the solidarity economics. Why are we talking about only the private sector? It doesn't work. The neoliberalism doesn't work. It's not about socialist or capitalist, right? There should be social equity in everything that we do. So why the government is there? There is a system that happens, right? So the Keynesian economics also told the free market economics does not work. It does not bring fairness. So the government needs to intervene in full production. Government need to intervene in labor rights. Government need to intervene in giving public goods. And all these countries we are saying has developed after they passed $15,000, after they got their social capital high, they got rid of SOEs, yes. They got rid of the public sector. They opened the market. Yeah, when they are there, when their countries develop, they can do that, but we can't do it. So we have to use those tools to develop.
So what is the way out? I want to ask the four of you. We're talking about budget 2024. In your opinion, Nuwan, what sort of changes do you envisage to see on the 13th of November 2023, just a few days from now?
Yeah, in fact, first of all, we have to get rid from this delusion. These budget proposals will change something in the society, because nothing will be changed. It's very clear, the same thing will be continued. So what I am inviting the people, we know we had that experience of Aragale a few years, 1 year back. So what are the demands of the Aragale? The demands of the Aragale, first of all, to establish the democracy. It is very important. Now actually they have postponed the elections, and recent bill, the online safety bill, and now ATA is going to be brought once again. So they are actually folding this particular democracy. Therefore, first of all, we have to give, people have to come out and fight for the democracy. Then, in fact, as I pointed out, 8.5 million people only hold in this economy, strength in this economy. That's a working class. Then working class come forward, then there must be a unity among the working class, because whatever said and done by this particular government and the politicians and elite class, ultimately the economy run by this 8.5 million working class. So they have to come forward, and if we are thinking about the development of the society, if we are thinking about the better future, actually everything could be done to this working class. Therefore the working class must come forward, and they only can develop this country, and they only can strengthen this economy. So
when you say come forward, what does that mean?
Exactly. Now
another Aragale?
No, actually not only Aragale, there are various means and means. For example, now we talk about the production based economy. If we are enhancing production, who could do that? This working class. So in that sense, they only could, but only thing is the assurance should be given, benefits should be distributed among the working class. Why they are dissatisfied? They are dissatisfied, even though they work, they don't pay for that. So some elite class is stealing their money. So if we are giving that assurance, no benefit should be distributed equally among the working class in accordance with their labor, of course they will work. So therefore the working class come forward, and they must take the responsibility of this economy. Then only we can develop this country. This budget proposal is only a delusion that cannot, it won't change anything. So we need a system change. So for that we should fight together. That's what my message.
Chaturanga?
Yeah, so in terms of going forward from today on, first is the collection of the due taxes. There's no other way out. And I try to prove you the tax revenue is not going to be enough to save this country. We have to add non-tax revenue as well. Government has to strengthen the SOEs and keep those profits flowing into the government, which Ranil Wickremesinghe is throwing those things away. That's two. Thirdly, the government has to announce to the country with this budget, these are the priority industries that we are going to focus. I'm pretty sure Ranil Wickremesinghe is not going to utter a word about it, because their whole strategy is to kill SME sector and manufacturing, right? And even agriculture. And then the other piece is...
But my question is, Chaturanga, why would Ranil Wickremesinghe do that, very well knowing that he is going to contest the next election as a presidential candidate?
Yeah, how do you know?
No, I don't know, I'm just asking.
No,
I'm just posing the question.
no, because it's...
You never know, I don't know.
Samir is his advisor.
Shami, it's the thing.
If I was, I would advise him better, trust
Because
me.
his policy is known to the world. It's not his policy. It's a playbook of neoliberalism. It ensures the assets are sold and labor is the only source of income for those countries, middle income countries. It's called middle income trap. So what we will be left, you and I will be left, your children and my children will be left with providing labor to the world. We will be left with giving our land and natural resources to few of the capital investments. That's it. That's the whole strategy of Ranil. Ranil is just finalizing all these deeds within these few months. So we have to get him out as soon as possible. We can't even probably wait till next year even, right? at the rate he's going, because he's going to sell the water before he goes, he's going to sell all the gem lands before he goes, he's going to sell all the SOEs before he goes, he's going to sell all the land outright before he goes. This is the agenda from his uncle's time. This is the agenda of IMF. This is the agenda what they propose to developing nations. There are few developing nations which skip this with the strength of the people. As Nuan said, we have to get the people rallying around, 8.5 billion people, and mind you, it's not the people who are in the factories. You and I are workers also. Labor, we are labor. We don't have anything else. We give either our mind time or our physical strength, and we get a month-end salary. If you are a CEO, you are labor. You should fight on the May 1st on the rights. What is this? Right? We are getting exploited day by day, and we are getting taxed day by day. Our public services are not given to us.
So tell me, what is the position of the NPP with regard to the pay tax structure?
So we think it should be fair. We propose 24% maximum for anybody who is working as an employee. Right? It should not go to 36% because it's labor. Right? And also the threshold to come down to 250,000. So that is our proposal. Because it's labor. You can't tax labor. What's happening now? We are paying tax. And we are paying for our education,
right.
We are paying for health, we are paying for transportation. The living standards of labor is coming down drastically. So this is what needs to happen in this budget. And obviously it's not going to happen because we know who Ranil Wickremesinghe is.
Sabri, is it the last round?
Yeah, this is the last round. So, Dr. Veer Singh.
Yeah, from where I stopped in my first round, actually I expect from the budget, the priority should be to provide some relief to the poorest sections of the society, because we want to make sure that people can live, without dying. There is no point in achieving all the reforms and all these things what they are talking of if half the population is dead and gone, right? So that is one thing. But then, of course, in my view, health and education should come next priorities, right? After which, what I say is, I agree that the budget should try to take a stand towards the production economy, as it was explained by all our colleagues here, right? And especially small and medium size enterprises, right? And providing welfare to consumers is good, but that is not good enough. Actually, you need to provide welfare to industries, right? At least by trying to provide price stability, at least in certain things like energy and some other things. Otherwise, you won't be able to encourage the industries, right? Then about SOEs, there are a lot of talks here. We are totally against this wholesale privatization of state-owned enterprises. We know the strategy at the moment, what is happening at the moment. The strategy at the moment is to, go for these haircuts, the haircuts with the countries and the private lenders, and government is trying to sell these assets, national assets, to these countries, which are going to agree for haircuts, and which are the private lenders
in lieu of
their agreement. This is what they are trying to do. This is what they have done in other countries as well, right? So therefore, you see, and one more aspect I want to mention here before my finishing, that is that please understand, the world is changing. It was said by Joe Biden, it was said by Anthony Blinken, it was said by Jake Sullivan. All of them said that old world order is over now. And Jake Sullivan said, the Washington consensus is over. We need to go for a new consensus. These are the leaders of the, this neoliberal world order. They say that it's over. There is a new world order that is emerging. Right. And we need to understand, right, that this new world is emerging in Asia, basically. in Asia, right? So please do understand, you see these Asian economies, they are growing, right? And you know, the China is playing, China is in the center, the biggest producer, you know, the biggest exporter, the biggest importer, the biggest market, and the biggest reserve in the world. So these are the, you can't go away from these true situations.
Thank you very
so
much.
Therefore, we need to reorient our trade and economic relations, you see, to Asia, if we want to come out from this crisis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthew Gunaratne, President's Council.
Thank you.
Your final thoughts?
Can you ask the question again, please?
Yeah, so your final thoughts. What is the way forward for Sri Lanka in terms of budget 2024?
Samir, one of the main aspects is we have to go on a large scale increase of production in all sectors, especially agriculture, and we have to see to it that the small and medium scale industrialists are looked after and nurtured and helped, because they will be the driving force and the engine of growth in this country. The second point is we have to drive the 6 hub statuses in Sri Lanka. Make this a tourism hub, make this a health hub, make this a IT hub, make this a shipping hub.
You sound like President Mahinda Rajapaksa now.
Right.
Remember, he also said the same in 2016.
No, but only thing is he never implemented it. Most of these people have said these things before, but no one implemented it. Now, for instance, a shipping hub, he started the Hambantota port. If you have gone to Hambantota, there is a massive building where only buffaloes are occupying now. Now that place, when you are talking of a maritime university, you can easily convert that into a maritime university with the Hambantota port there. So what I'm saying is, Samir, Singapore has stolen our status of a shipping port long time ago, but we can still, in the Indian Ocean, we can always supply as a feeder port to Bangladesh, to Pakistan, to India, and some other countries around the Asian region. So that's what I'm saying, we need to concentrate, because now we have got so many ports, so many containers, and every year the container traffic in Sri Lanka is increasing. So we need to explore those avenues, and there has to be definite plans. Now if you take the IT industry, Indian IT industry is at its helm. Who is driving the IT industry in India? President Modi, Prime Minister Modi. That is coming directly under him. He is driving it from the top. So those are areas where India is getting all its foreign exchange and exposure. Now you take the top CEOs in most of the countries in the world, top CEOs, most of them are Indian, and most of them are all IT based top professionals. So what I'm saying is, we have a very rich, talented population. We must, to make use of that, you need to get these hubs in order. The other thing is import substitution. We must, as much as possible, if we can go in for import substitution. Now you can remember, palm oil plantations have been banned, but we are importing palm oil. Now if you remove that ban and get them to do the palm oil, cultivation of palm oil, I mean, then we are saving our dollars. So these are things, Samir, which we have to do. Then the Mana Basin, there is enough research to say that the Mana Basin has oil and gas. What have we done for the last 15-20 years? Nothing. And why? Because no one wants to come and pay bribes for discussions. That is the problem. No foreign oil exploring company wants to come to Sri Lanka, just pay bribes for discussions. We can call for an international tender and give this to someone. Within 10-15 years, we will have our gas, we will have our oil, and we will get the benefit out of it after 20 years. So these areas, Samir, has to be developed, and this budget has to look into those. And the other thing is law and order, good governance. All these factors, Samir, have to be looked into. Otherwise, whatever the budget may bring, if they don't look into these factors, there are several more, but since I think you're running out of time, I don't want to take your time. If they bring it, if this budget caters to these needs, I think we can slowly get out of this rut.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sabir.
Thank you very much, Maitri Gunath, the President's Counsel. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopake, Chaturanga Abid Singha, Dr. G. Veer Singh, as well as Maitri Gunaratne, President's Counsel, for joining us this evening on the show. When you spoke about the buffaloes, were you referring to the majority of the buffaloes next to Devanna or Hamadul?
The buffaloes in buffaloes in
Thank you very much, Maitri, for your thoughts as well. Thanks a lot, Nilesh, as always, for joining us this evening on the show. I leave you tonight with the quote, as I always do. Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. Take care and good night.